I got my man Jimmy Valvano, 2019 ESPY Award winner, Coach Rob Mendez. It is an honor to have you on my show.
What's up, Eddie? This is a pleasure seeing you again. I got to meet you at the ESPYs, and you were full of energy that night. I appreciated hanging out with you.
Oh, we had a blast, didn't we?
Oh, it's probably one of the most memorable nights of my life, besides the actual ESPY night, the following night.
Well, of course. Well, listen, let's turn back the clock, Rob. We know you won the ESPY Award. Let me go a little later with that. I'm going to ask you questions about that. But, in your quotes, you always say, be bald and fail, be bald and succeed. And that's being human. Where did you come up with that?
I think just trial and error throughout life. From day one, I've always tried to do things. You succeed in certain areas and certain times, and then you fail. And the one thing I think life has always taught me is to never just give up on my goals in life. I don't like to use the word dreams because I feel like that's very extravagant. For me, I'm always setting up goals, day by day. So just to not be complacent and always keep that hunger in my life and not be scared of failure.
Coach, did you ever have doubts saying to yourself, I can't live like this anymore?
I never have. I think it came from my support. I've always had family and friends since day one. And I think that is one of the reasons why I came up with Who Says We Can't. Who Says We Can't, it talks about a lot of the uniting of our country and things like that. But how I'm going to relate this is encouragement. That has always been a part of my life. I've always had support, encouragement, whether if it was from family, friends, teachers, counselors. I've always had people that told me, that I am able to do it. But along the way, just like anyone else, you get doubted. And within that doubt, I've embraced it into, instead of just giving up on and believing those people, I flipped it and wanted to prove not only to them, but to myself that I am capable of being successful in this world.
And you had that mentality since you were a kid, Rob? I mean, when you see kids play football and you're like, you're just watching, you're probably cheering for them, but did you have that feeling that, man, I wish I could play this? I wish I was born, with legs and arms. Did you ever have those thoughts?
Yeah, there'd be days, I grew up in a cul-de-sac, so I grew up with a lot of friends, a lot of kids my age, and they would play basketball. Obviously, I can't take a free throw, can't make a layup, right? So there'd be days where I'd be watching them and they can play and I can't. But at the end of the day, I was always groomed and taught by my father more to never, feel sorry for myself. I was always able to compete on video games or just in school and anything really. But in that moment, I think that I just kind of blocked away from that feeling of feeling sorry for myself. So I would be the referee and include myself instead of just, being sad about it. I made the best of it.
So here's the thing. Rob, your caretaker, is he there 24/7 with you? How does it work?
No, he's not. He's on a on-call basis, so I've always tried to be independent. I definitely need the necessities taken care of in the morning, such as bathing, brushing my teeth, all that good stuff. And then at the end of the night, I need to be helped to go to bed. But no, I've always been able to figure out how to live an independent life.
Your parents are awesome, right? Did they take you to a lot of games when you were a kid? Like you guys are a very tight family, right?
Depends on what you call tight. So
when I say tight, your father, when I met him at the pre-ESPY party and we were talking, and it just gave me so much emotions because I said, when Rob was born, did you ever have doubts like, nah, I'm not going to have this baby? And he says, that's my boy. Just like that. And I almost cried when he said that, man. That's how much I love your dad, man. I was like, holy shit, man. This guy is like, that's my boy, Tell me your relationship with your dad.
My dad growing up was my best friend. There was one thing we loved to do. He had, work. He worked Monday through Saturday, if not Monday through Sunday, because he had two jobs. He worked in the medical field as a respiratory therapist, so he had long days and many days working. So at the end of the day, he would come home and still have the energy to, play video games with me. I played wiffle ball with a little plastic bat that I was able to wedge in between my chin and my shoulder. Uh, but yeah, he was my best friend. We would go to Sharks games all the time. He had season tickets, and that was one of my favorite things to do was, being a hockey fan on the West Coast. I didn't have a lot of friends that knew about the Sharks or hockey itself. So I would always go to school when I was in second, third grade, bragging how I'm going to go to a hockey game, and my friends were like, "What is hockey?" or "Who cares, buddy?" You know what I mean?
So let's talk about you were applying for job. You were assistant coach for 12 years. You finally got the head coaching job at a JV football team. Okay, in a high school
Yeah,
in Northern California. Your record was 8-2. Your first year coaching them.
yeah. We went 8-2 or throughout our regular season, and when we first started as a team, I got to be honest, I didn't know if what kind of season we were going to have. I saw a lot of inconsistent numbers, a lot of players that had a lot of egos. The commitment level was not where I wanted it to be. So I hashed that all out from the beginning, and I made sure that these kids were buying into commitment, um, being kind to one another, encouraging, being selfless, and I made sure we had to get through those barriers before we even tapped into the playbook. So I definitely took a lot of, I guess, notes or whatever you call it along the years as an assistant on what to do and what not to do from other coaches. And the one thing I learned from is football players are more than football players. They're more than students. They're actually people. They're kids, and they're young men. And when you just be upfront with them and treat them as people, the team camaraderie. Not only that, the trust just builds within the coaching staff to the players or from player to player. It just starts with the people within the team and the program. So that was my priority, was just to get these kids working to their best as a team, selfless team for that matter. And I think we did a pretty good job as a staff. I mean, we did our best, and unfortunately, we lost in the league title game 3-0 that first year.
Just 3-0. That's more like a baseball score right there than a football score. I guess your defense was in the game then.
Hey, we had a strong defense that game or that year. I give a lot of credit to my D coordinator. I had my 4-4 set up as a base defense. He took it to us in a meeting, and I love, debating meetings. That's where you get the best of ideas and interaction. So he came up with this great philosophy of high school football. I mean, we went with a five-man front, so we had five down linemen, three linebackers, and our five D linemen were the heart and soul of our team. We had a great pass rush.
Let's just skip it to the ESPYs. Pre-ESPYs, all right? How did you find out? This is when I met you that Monday night, okay? How did you find out that, hey, you're gonna win the Jimmy V award, the ESPY award? How did you find out? How did they contacted you?
Well, after the documentary aired, ESPN invited me to visit their campus up in Bristol, Connecticut. So I got to go fly actually to New York first because they have a studio in New York City. Got to visit their studio there. From New York, I was shuttled up to Bristol, Connecticut. And at first, I thought it was just going to be a tour of the campus, as well as me share my story to a lot of the other anchors and people behind the scenes at ESPN. So I was going to speak to them and have lunch with them in their cafeteria slash studio area. And then I was told from the beginning when I first got to the campus that the president would like to meet me and wanted me to visit him in his office. So I think that was the kind of part where I had a feeling something was, coming about, or something new was going to be told to me. I didn't know what it was, but I knew something was of coming. And so I was told by Jimmy Pitaro, the president of ESPN, that I was going to be receiving the Jimmy Valvano Award for perseverance, which was probably the most humbling moment of my life, to not only hear that, but to receive it up on stage, because I've always watched the ESPYs, and I'll be honest, I don't watch sometimes from beginning to end. I do watch the Jimmy V Award recipient almost every single year, from Stuart Scott to Eric LeGrand, from Pat Summitt to Jim Kelly. I mean, it's just so many iconic names on there that I can't believe a small town person like me, Robert Mendez, I still don't believe my name should be on that list, but it is. And I think that the only thing I can say is my passion for football got me there. And that's one thing I wanted to get across, was when you have passion for life itself, you're going to find a hobby that you totally go all in for. And for me, it was either broadcasting or being an analyst for football or coaching football. So I just stayed persistent on it.
Hey, watch this night. The night before the ESPYs. This was awesome. I actually filmed this. Look at you. Look at you. Look, you and Gronkowski. Look at you. Look at that. Look at everybody's. Was that a great feeling or what, man?
It's like we're reliving the night again, man.
Oh,
That's
man,
so cool that you on film.
We had the best time that night. Oh my god, that was the night before, man.
Right? Yeah, that was the pre-party.
It was the night before. You know, you're with your entourage right here. The boys are right there. Your agent. He actually played for the Green Bay Packers, right?
Yeah. Donald Driver, actually the leading receiver in yards for the Green Bay Packers.
See, I even had a good time with him. I was shooting the shit with him. I was like, yo, I'm going to play cornerback right now. What you got? You know what I mean?
He'd burn you, Eddie. He'd burn you.
Oh, I know he would in a second. So, the next day, it's the ESPYs, all right? You probably had a lot of press conferences right before, Rob. What was the schedule like the next day? It was on a Wednesday.
The next day actually wasn't too tough. They gave me a lot of resting time during the day. You know, I wanted to basically just enjoy the day on some quiet time, watch ESPN. I didn't really go out of routine, actually. I watched SportsCenter, had a cup of coffee that morning, collected my thoughts, and because, you know, my heart was racing just thinking about the speech I was going to have to give in front of 10,000 people plus national television. But yeah, I didn't do too much different during the day. In the morning, I just relaxed, hung out with my dad, my manager, and we all just hung up in my room and just didn't really make anything too big of it because, you know, I didn't want to get too worked up right before. I wanted to save the energy for the moment and the after party. So
you were in backstage. You're hanging out with Dwayne Wade. Now here's the moment. I'm doing this now because I don't want to lose the volume. Here it is.
Coach Rob Mendez.
Let's go. Let's go.
What a moment, man. Holy shit. Do you realize you're on stage getting the Jimmy V Award? When did that really hit you, man?
It still hasn't hit me, I guess.
Oh, my God.
Hey, the only thing I wish I can change about that was the song coming on. I wish I can come on to Here I Am.
Rock you like a hurricane?
No. I'm just kidding. But no, it was a pretty epic moment, Eddie. I definitely will never forget it.
You know, that night when you made the speech, but you got to see, you know, I was looking at the reaction of the players while you were talking, and a lot of people had tears that night. You know what I mean? They were like, I can't believe this. Like, you know, they were thinking, what is my excuse after seeing this gentleman, what he's going through right now, and still has a smile on his face?
Yeah. Just make the best of your situation. Sometimes you're born with a hand of 2-7. Sometimes you're born with pocket aces. You know what I mean? And sometimes those pocket aces can be deceiving. You call the wrong bet, and you know your whole chips is gone. Whereas if you fold on a 2-7 and raise the next time, it's all about playing your cards right in this life. And I feel like just making the best of any situation, whether if it's good or bad. Just appreciate the good moments and persevere through the tough moments. But I believe that we all have that capability in us. And, it's tough to see what's going on in this world. But like I said, that's why I switched it from who says I can't to who says we can't, because I think we need each other more than ever to create some kind of positivity and hope in this world. So I just want people to maintain that hope and know that there's going to be better days coming.